What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated, 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning WBO, World Boxing Organization welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Crawford, 38 wins, no losses, no draw, 29 big wins by way of knockout. He is 38 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. Terence Crawford yesterday put out a statement, and in the statement, Terence Crawford spoke his truth and revealed negotiations between himself and the unified welterweight world champion, undefeated superstar boxer, who is a 3-belt WBC, WBA, IBF welterweight world champion, widely considered by many to be top 2, if not #1, definitely top 5 pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, and ERROL Spence Jr., who is 28 wins, no losses, no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout, 32 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. ERROL Spence and Terence Crawford, they make up for the biggest fight in the sport of boxing currently as it stands, for a massive undisputed welterweight showdown, right? And Terence Crawford, he revealed his truth. Terence Crawford, we know, is now going to fight December 10th in Omaha, Nebraska, his hometown, against Armenian-Russian welterweight star title contender David Avanesian. That's going to be December 10th in Omaha, Nebraska on BLK Prime. So go to blkprime.com and you can pick up the fight. With that said, Terence Crawford spoke his truth of the fight falling through between himself and ERROL Spence, the negotiations. And he revealed what actually happened in the negotiations. Some people, they say Terence Crawford revealed too much, okay? Terence Crawford, has put a bullseye on his back now because he revealed too much of the business. And now, the business, the powers that be in the sport, the business part of the sport, they're not going to, want to do business with Terence Crawford. And Terence Crawford, he then put up a statement, right? And he says, what I was just thinking about is that, it be your own people, right, that, turn their back on you, right? Your own people. To which fans started to respond to Terence Crawford and say, we're not your people, right? So obviously he was talking about, the African-American community, right? And so now the African-American fans are responding to Terence Crawford, and they're telling Terence Crawford, we're not your people, okay? Right? And so, Terence Crawford, he responded and he said, that's where you're wrong. So the guy says, so this is what Terence Crawford had to say. He said, quote, as I think about it, it's so crazy how it be your own people that turn on you and turn their back on you, right? To which I'm only going to read one of the fans, but multiple fans responded. And one fan in particular says, we're not your friend, okay? He says, we're not your friend. We're not your people. We are fans of the sport, and we just want to see the best fight the best. If you're not going to give us that, then we're going to call you out on it. We don't owe you anything. So Terence Crawford, he responds, right? And he says, you see, it's selfish. Trash people in the world like you can do half of what I do, or close, can't do half of what I do or even close to what I do for the sport. Something like that for a fighter that puts his life on the line, saying something like that for a fighter that put his life on the line for your entertainment is wrong for you to do. You do owe me, you pay me for my entertainment, right? And, obviously there's multiple fans going at Terence Crawford. And then Terence Crawford, he responds by saying this, right? He says, quote, I'm pretty sure if anything I said was a lie, and he added ERROL Spence, at ERROL Spence, would have been said something by now. He was watching my live, but he knows what's real, but there's things he might not know or knew because he's not the one at the table like myself, okay? So I'm gonna read that to you again. He says, quote, I'm pretty sure if anything I said was a lie, ERROL Spence would have said something by now. He was watching my live, but he knows what's real but there's things he might not know or knew because he's not at the table like myself, like I am, okay? And in this live, Terence Crawford, he stated in the live, he stated, and let it be known that, you know, he stated that, you know, he is his own boss now. He has free will. And he stated that, you know, there was $25 million pot a piece. There was a $50 million pot, $25 million piece with 80-20 back end money. So they would have received 20% of the back end money for the revenue from two, you know, investment groups, right? And it was turned down. So he stated that ERROL Spence had to go back, you know, to PBC, Premier Boxing Champion, founder and advisor Al Haymon, who is a advisor, you know, to the fighters, acts as a manager and advisor, not a promoter. And he stated that Al Haymon had to go back, you know, ERROL Spence had to go back. He said he personally called ERROL Spence personally, and he told ERROL Spence personally, you know, this is the plan. And he stated that ERROL Spence told him that he had to go take it to Al Haymon, right? So Terence Crawford is saying, I'm my own boss. He's not his boss, right? Because if he was his own boss, then he wouldn't have to take anything back to Al Haymon, but he's taking it back to Al Haymon because he's not his own boss, right? And so he has somebody to answer to, right? And, you know, so he's saying that if anything I said was false or not real, right? He said, I'm pretty sure, you know, that ERROL Spence would have now responded to me and would have said that, you know, what I'm saying is not true, right? But he has not responded. And so with that said, you know, that's true, right? And you know, he had a lot of things to unpack, and then, you know, he was on there for about 20 minutes, and there's a lot to unpack there, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, Al Haymon is trusted, right? Obviously, ERROL Spence has been with Al Haymon, you know, for the duration of his career. You understand what I'm saying? And, you know, he trusts Al Haymon. And Al Haymon has, even Terence Crawford admitted, Al Haymon has gotten him to this point, has gotten him to the place that he is today. And he respects that. And obviously, ERROL Spence trusts him and respects that. But for Al Haymon to advise ERROL Spence to not take $25 million guaranteed up front, in my opinion, is not good advisory, right? Because ERROL Spence is banking on, at this point, ERROL Spence will be banking on the success of the pay-per-view, opposed to having a sure thing, right? So if he uses that format, ERROL Spence is essentially counting on them being successful, okay, selling the pay-per-views and selling the tickets. Now, I have no doubt that Terence Crawford and ERROL Spence is going to sell big, right? Because it's the biggest fight in boxing. But is it going to sell $25 million big for both guys, right? Is it going to do $25 million a piece big, right? You know, for this fight, for them to get $25 million a piece, guaranteed with back end money, right? This fight is going to have to do 1 million pay-per-views. So Terence Crawford was saying that he told ERROL Spence that, you know, the pay-per-view model is essentially dead. Nobody buys pay-per-views. And if they do, it's not going to equal up to us getting $25 million a piece. And I have to agree with Terence Crawford from that standpoint. There's a lot of piracy in the sport of boxing. A lot of piracy in the sport of boxing, okay? A lot of fans, they just don't want to pay for the fights, right? They don't deem the fights to be, you know, quality, the fights that they want to see. And there's a lot of piracy in the sport of boxing. You understand what I'm saying? And so because there's a lot of piracy in the sport of boxing, you know, the last time we had a fight do 1 million pay-per-views was Canelo Alvarez Triple G first fight. That's a long time ago, okay? That's the last time we had a fight do 1 million pay-per-view buys, right? And so they would need to do 1 million pay-per-view buys at $75 to $100 to come close to being able to get $25 million guaranteed a piece. Okay, to get $25 million guaranteed a piece, in my opinion, is irresponsible to turn down or to even inquire about. Let's say it may not be real, right? Maybe $25 million wasn't real, right? But you have to at least inquire about the $25 million, in my opinion, and see if it's real. Terrence Crawford said Errol Spence never got back to him. So he said that he took it directly to Al Haymon. And he said to Al Haymon, listen, you know, I got two backers, two investment groups that are willing to put up $25 million guaranteed money for us to stage this fight. And he said that Al Haymon told him, I'm not letting this fight fall in nobody else's hands. Now, as far as, this is where I disagree with the people. When the people say, we're not your people. We're not your people. If Canelo Alvarez was to make a statement such as Terrence Crawford made and say, hey, listen, you know what's funny, my people, it'd be your people that turn their back on you. Mexican fan base would never tell Canelo Alvarez, we're not your people. Never. You would never get an overwhelming amount of people in the comment section telling Canelo Alvarez, we're not your people. This is why, okay, the powers that be in the sport of boxing don't believe in African-American fighters or black fighters overall selling. The last one to do so was retired, legendary, iconic Hall of Fame superstar boxer Floyd Mayweather. And the problem with that is, right, even with Floyd Mayweather, right, Floyd Mayweather resulted to looking to fight other nationalities outside of his own, because the narrative is it don't sell. It don't sell, right? And so that's a problem. You understand? And because the African-American community is seen not to support the fighters, the tickets and the ticket sales, this is a part of the problem. What you mean we're not your people? Of course you're his people. You don't have to tell him you're not his people. You could just say, listen, you know something? We just want to see the best fight the best. Not, we're not your people. You know, I think that's just irresponsible. You know, and like Terrence Crawford said, if anything he said was false, you know, Errol Spence would have responded. Errol Spence hasn't made a statement, and I'm sure Errol Spence has seen this come out from Terrence Crawford. Like you said, Errol Spence was watching. He had 9,000 people watching. If Errol Spence directly wasn't watching himself, somebody in his team, somebody that a relative, somebody was watching. He got the message, he heard it, and he hasn't responded. Actually, when you want to be technical, nor has his team responded to Terrence Crawford saying that he was willing to take a 65-35 split in favor of Errol Spence with no guaranteed money up front, no back end money. Nobody has ever come out and disputed that. Not one person. And but as far as the community saying that they're not his people, I 1000% disagree with the people saying they're not Terrence Crawford's people. That's the problem we have as a community right now. We don't value one another. Again, the Mexican fan base would never tell Canelo Alvarez or Juan Manuel Marquez or the Filipino fan base would never tell Manny Pacquiao, we not your people, we not your friends. They would never say such a thing. They value them, and we don't hold each other in high regard, period. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Make sure you hit the like button, drop a comment in the comment section, let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all in one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to Black Media Roll. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for you. Peace.